Yes, you read the thumbnail right. I did buy a Tag Heuer, but it's not what you think. It is a Tag Heuer, it's a 200-meter professional, and it is a quartz watch. And why would you buy a Tag Heuer that's a quartz? Well, let's hop into it. Now, what are we talking about today? We're talking about my 37 millimeter Tag Heuer 200-meter professional 1/10 chronograph. Now, what does that mean? That means this is a chronograph, a quartz chronograph that times up to 1/10 of a second. And this thing is just awesome. Now we're going to go into everything about this watch and why I love this watch and why you'll probably love it too once I'm finished. Now the holidays are right around the corner. Remember, at Chase Straps, chasestraps.com, my own personal watch strap company, biggest sale, 45% off on Black Friday. Set your reminders because you're not going to want to miss it. Now this Tag Heuer, now I saw it online and I immediately had to buy it. 37 millimeters is the perfect size for my 7¼ inch wrist. Not just is it the perfect size, but it is almost a perfect watch. And I can hear what you're saying already. Chase, did you just say that a Tag Heuer is almost a perfect watch? Well, let's do a top-down shot and I'll show you exactly what I mean and why I love this watch so much. Well, this watch is considered in today's world a vintage watch. This was made between 1995 and about 2000, so you're looking at over 25 years old. That really doesn't seem that long ago. I'm nearing 40 years old, and to think 1995, 1996, 1997, when I'm in high school, that really doesn't seem like that long ago. It seems like it was just a couple years ago, but alas, this is now a vintage watch, and you can tell if you look at the bezel, and I'll show you right here, the thing is just worn, the case is just beat up, the lugs have dings in it, and it just has character throughout the entire thing. Now the quartz movement in here is pretty cool, and everything about this watch is almost perfect when it comes to the dial, and still the sapphire crystal that covers the dial. The rest of the watch is shit. It's pretty beat up, but again, it gives it more of that character. Now, if you look at the dial, you can see that it has that wonderful, colorful Tag Heuer logo just underneath the 12 o'clock. You can see if I zoom in that it has 2 counting seconds. Now, this is because it has a 1/10 of a second subdial right there by the 2 o'clock indice. Now that subdial, when I press it, you can see, boom, pops out, and it gives you the 1/10 of the second, and then I hit the chronograph function again, and it zeroes back out. Really cool. Now, if you can see right there, that center ticking second hand, the first one is the second. Then you can see it has a red arrow second hand behind it, which is really the minute hand. So as that second hand ticks around to the 12 o'clock again, completing 1 minute, boom, that red hand pops out to count the minute. So it has a minute counter, a seconds counter, a 1/10 of a seconds counter. Then beneath the 10 o'clock position has the hour counter. Now, I think that that's pretty cool. Of course, it has the ticking second down at the 6 o'clock, and it does have a date at the 5 o'clock. And if you just look at the dial, it has that worn look, the mustard colored indices, the wear from the sun, and a beautiful chapter ring within the dial right there with the tachometer and everything else. I think that this thing is just perfect, and it fits perfect on the wrist. Now, the chintziness of this bracelet, right, if you listen to it, reminds me of my Rolex Kermit, right? It's not the greatest bracelet in the world. It's not the worst bracelet in the world. It's not like the sub 2000s bracelets, right? Which kind of reminds me of this with the hollowed in links. The bracelet's not done perfectly, but because you have the smaller links, it fits around your wrist a lot better. I don't know. There's just something about it. Again, I'm going to say the character of it. Now, this watch was not very expensive. I would never spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a Tag Heuer because they lose their value. But I picked this thing up for around $500. Now that is still even a little expensive. However, I was doing a lot of research, which you should always do your research. And these things sometimes go from $8,000, $9,000, even $1,000. if the condition is just a little bit better. Now, I made sure that the movement on this was perfect. I looked at the dial, the close-up pictures, and just because the bells was worn, that doesn't really bother me. Again, that just gives more character to the watch. It is missing the pip at the 12 o'clock on the bezel. Again, not even a big deal. I really don't care. And I found myself wearing this watch. I've had it for 2 weeks now as my everyday wearer. It's just, to me, it just screams awesome. Now, when it comes to vintage watches, you really have to be careful because, like, if you buy a 1960s, 70s, or 80s Rolex that's vintage, like a Datejust, you're getting into kind of a world of hurt just because you want something Rolex that's a little cheaper. Now, I could pick up a 1990s or a 1980s Rolex Day-Date or Datejust for just a couple $1,000s, but the seals aren't going to be that great on it. Vintage watches always have the issues of service and everything like that, so you will get the Rolex, but you're also not getting the robustness of newer things. Now, I knew this going in, which is why I wanted a quartz watch, because quartz watches are way more robust than a mechanical watch. And I love the quirkiness of the fact of how it reads the time on that 10th of a second. I just found it absolutely romantic and just love it. Every time I look at it, I look down and I'm like, God, I never thought I'd buy a Tag Heuer, but I'm glad I bought this one. Now, one of the things that I do think is cool is the fact that it has Mercedes hands on it, which I thought was kind of hilarious because Mercedes hands are, of course, indicative of Rolex, which is not Tag Heuer. So I thought that that was kind of funny. Again, the hands are mustard colored, the indices are the same. You can see that it does have some wear on the dial, and I'm just super excited to wear this thing every day. Now, because it was only a few $100, well, $500 is not a few $100. You know, I don't treat it like I would my Rolex and I wear it to work, but that's okay because watches are meant to be worn, and this watch is meant to be worn. Now, will I ever buy, like I said, a brand new Tag Heuer? The answer is no. Unless I become a millionaire and I can throw away $5,000 and get something like a brand new Tag Heuer Aqua Racer, or really what I would spend the money on is a Tag Heuer Monaco. That is one of my dream watches. They're kind of harder to get. I'm not really willing to spend $5,000, $6,000 just because it says Tag Heuer and Monaco, when really the value of the watch is maybe 2 or 3. But again, you're paying for that name, just like Rolex. You're paying for the name. Tag Heuer is not a Rolex. It's not an Omega, but it is still, I would say, in the top 20 when it comes to luxury brands. There's a lot out there, and it is considered in the world of middle class and lower class people. Tag Heuer is still considered a luxury brand, which I think is kind of funny. Anyway, what do you guys think about this video? Do you like it? Do you hate it? I got a lot of videos coming out in the future. I really do want to share with you guys my brand new luxury Tag Heuer-esque, but I really do love it, and I will be wearing it every day as my everyday wear. Now, if you've gotten this far, I never plug my Instagram. Now, if you go to all_things_random_AK, because I live in Alaska, and follow me over on Instagram, I post pictures of some of the upcoming things that I'll be reviewing on this channel. So head over there, follow me on Instagram. Remember, hit the subscribe if you're this far. Give me a like. It really does help the algorithm. Also, make sure you're hitting that notification bell because some people are not getting notified of my videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.